Okay, so because as many of us know that climate change is more or less existential, I think. So happy to be here, and I was very pleased with the words of Olivier, who was saying we try to have this an inspiring, professional, and friendly seminar, which is electronically now, and also if you're sitting far away in Iceland in quarantine. So hopefully this can be a fruitful, I think, discussion over the next days. And what I will try to do for you is to give it a little bit of an overview, let's say, as an appetizer on the theme where it is important to find solutions. And I think that also protected areas and a network like EUROPARC Federation is really, really, I think, key to find solutions for that. What I try to do, because I don't know if everybody knows, but besides working on protected areas and biodiversity, I'm very much into the climate case and the climate, let's say, theme on a global level as well. I'm an ambassador for Al Gore. So what I would like to do in the next presentation, I would like to give is give a broad overview of what is going on. And what the first slide, what you see now is, of course, we are with a lot of people on Earth. Over 7.8 billion people at the moment, and still going on, still growing. So we need to see whether we are able to find harmony, to find balance with, let's say, the limits of our planet. So, and what I just told you, if we are still growing as a population, we need extra water, extra energy, and extra food. And you see the percentages over there, that it is, a high number that we need for 2030 on extra water, energy, and food. So how to deal with that? And that's one thing. And the other thing is that what is really happening, and I would like to show you some graph now, which is, I think, one of the most important graphs related to climate change, is that is of course the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And you see here a graph where let's say the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is showcased, and you see this is let's say a period of time of 800,000 years ago until now, and you see that the graph is going up and down with the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And this based on research done in Greenland, where they drill ice, where they can see in the ice 800,000 years ago what was the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And the good thing is that they can relate that with the temperatures at the time. And what we see here now, it's very interesting that there is what they call the positive correlation between the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and the temperatures. So when the carbon dioxide is going up, also the temperatures are going up. But the most important question is not what happened 800,000 years ago, but what is going on now. And also that is something we know. In 2013, the concentration of carbon dioxide was approximately 400 parts per million, which is of course incredibly high related to what is happening with the temperature. And that's what you see in the temperatures now. That's mainly the most interesting, or the most let's say discussed topic. What will the temperatures do in the next decades? And also we know, when we don't take any action, that the rates of carbon dioxide will increase in the atmosphere. And the question will be, of course, if the temperatures raise similarly, we have a huge problem. And we are not, let's say, aligned, or we're not running to what we have agreed in the Paris Agreement, which is far below 2 degrees, 1.5 degrees is the goal, but we are now up to, say 3 to 4 degrees Celsius. The question is how to deal with that. And what, of course, for us as a group, we all know that it's our, let's say, responsibility, because we were the reason why we have caused climate change. Not because we wanted to create climate change, of course, but as a result of how we developed our world. So on the other hand, and that's more, let's say, the perspective also of the project, Climate Nature Adapt, is what is going on biodiversity, and there you see what some called the silent collapse of ecosystems, where there is a big research done by IPBES where 1 million species are at risk of extinction, and you can see every group of species. You see that there is really a big problem occurring. So the question is, what is going on? For the one, on the one hand side, do it interrelate with climate change? For sure, it interrelates. And what can we do about it? Because if you look to the socioeconomic trends and also the Earth system trends since 1750 until, let's say, 2010, you see there all the dashboard is really everywhere with red lights saying this is something which we need to take into account if we want to have, let's say, a safe planet for the future. Wherever you look, if you now water use, whatever domesticated land, there is of course an increase at every level that was researched. So the big thing is we need to watch out for our big footstep, our ecological footprint on Earth. And I think it's not a good idea to just toss a coin and say, well, we'll see what happens. And for sure we know what happens when we don't take action. Look at Corona nowadays, the coronavirus. So kicking the can down the road is not the good solution. So we need to be smart, I think, and I hope that EUROPARC Federation, and I'm sure that EUROPARC Federation can play a role in that as well. To be, let's say, to be very clear, what we need to do in the next decade is to halve the emissions and to halt the loss of nature. That's, let's say, yeah, in 2 sentences, our objective. The good thing there is that the world is reacting, and we see that at several levels that the world is reaction. We have, of course, the Sustainable Development Goals that, yeah, try to design a new compass for the world and to incorporate all the big pressures that we have on Earth and work, let's say, sustainably to these new goals for 2030. On the other hand, on protected areas, and for those people who really love to read, there is Edward O. Wilson, who wrote the book Half Earth, where he tries to explain that if we protect half Earth, we can also protect 85% of all, let's say, biodiversity, all species. And there is still enough space to do so. It's not about an idea, a theoretical model, but it's all explained how we can do that, and it's very important. There are other organizations which you maybe not heard of yet, and like the Planetary Emergency Plan of the Club of Rome and the Potsdam Institute for Climate, who want to have the planetary emergency on the agenda of the United Nations now at the end of this year. And so to ask to call the world to have an emergency plan to save our planet. And wherever you look at the global risk report of the World Economic Forum, there you see that the 5 priority actions are related to climate change. And of course, we have the big global conferences at Glasgow and Scotland in November, and we know, and the Convention on Biological Diversity in 2020. That's also this year in October in Kunming in China. And for EUROPARC Federation, I think, and for all of you, I think there is a good direction related to the European Union, which have now designed the EU Green Deal, where a lot of, I think, good intentions and also actions and plans are developed now to become climate neutral by 2050. And to make a climate law, but also to have a biodiversity action plan and so on and so forth. So it's very, very important that we have now all, let's say, politicians, decision makers who are going into the direction in trying to find answers to have a sustainable planet in the future. And then we come to the topic, and I'm nearly to the end of my presentation. That's the forgotten climate solution. What we don't see too much is that protected areas can play a key role in solving climate problems, because it's still, I think, a fast forward idea to have nature, protected areas, biodiversity, natural ecosystems that are really, I think, on the front line to help to mitigate and to adapt on climate change. It is cost effective, and it's also very, I think, hands-on, can be done very quickly. And I think that we as EUROPARC Federation can play that key role also on the political level, at the EU level, to convince them that protected areas can play a key role. I just to refer to, and it's maybe good to have a discussion tomorrow or today on the idea of helping politicians, local politicians, with finding solutions. You have the Covenant of Mayors. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where mayors signed also an agreement to come, let's say, to help to achieve the climate agreement in Paris. But I think these are small steps where we can go as protected areas to the mayors of our protected areas and say, hey, we can help, we can do a lot of good things for biodiversity, for wildlife, but also helping mitigating and adapting on climate change. As Olivier just told, was there is a climate change task force, and there are some people in the meeting today who can help to find these solutions as well. So my last slide is, yeah, you know, that make Earth great again. That's something we need to do, and hopefully we can do that as well with the project. And I'm so happy that we can discuss on that. And I wish you all the good luck on finding these new solutions to tackle climate change. Thank you.